Good afternoon, folks. How are we doing? Apologies if in the end there something weird was going on with the music. For some reason, I have two windows open kind of over here. One of the Stream Manager and one I have Twitch.tv ready, so it's easy to check who to raid. And somehow that jumped onto my own stream, so therefore it was playing the music back on itself and looping around and making this horrible noise that it should not have been doing. But managed to fix that before the stream started, so that is good. Let's turn down the music ever so slightly. There we go, that's better. Right. Let's just refresh stuff. Cool. All right. So it's Monday, and we are vaguely back to normal. I said that last week, and then immediately had to cancel Wednesday because I was in the office. But in theory, this week is a normal week, if there is such a thing. That means lunch chat today, lunch chat with board game on Wednesday, and fingers crossed we get to do the second part of Max Payne 2 this week. So we started that last week on Thursday, and it went pretty well, which is good. Haven't played that game in a long time, but had a very enjoyable time doing it, which is good. However, I did take one thing from it, which was I need to stop slouching. I really need to stop slouching. So I'm going to try and make sure I'm sitting, properly in this chair, because I watched little bits of my VOD for Max Payne the other day, and because I've got a screen up here which I generally keep my game on. And what I tended to do once I was playing it is I was slouching in my chair and looking upwards like this. So most of the stream, I have this horrible kind of necklace kind of look, which cannot be good for my posture. And not exactly good for promotional stuff. Yeah, here, look at this kind of troll creature playing a game. So let's crick the neck out and get on with this. If you're here lurking, that is absolutely fine. If you want to say hey, that is cool. Both are totally acceptable ways of spending your lunchtime. What else is going on with me? So fighting off another lurg again. I swear it was like 2 weeks ago I was saying I kind of had man flu. And it has just looped around again. I don't know if that's come from my daughter's nursery or just general plaguiness about. But we've all been feeling wretched all weekend. Saturday morning, I was really struggling to get out of bed. Unfortunately, my wife was feeling better that day. She felt worse on the Sunday. So she was able to look after our little one for the first couple of hours of Saturday while I, turned into a human being again. Something else is someone's getting banned from the chat because you're advertising crap on my channel. So no, go away. Right, train of thought. Yeah, so I'm feeling better now. Now it's just kind of like a sniffly cold, but on Saturday morning it was a full-on sinuses, felt like they were just trying to kill me. But I'm glad I'm on the mend now, which is really, really good. So yesterday I wasn't feeling too great, and I think unrelated to the lurg, I am increasingly thinking that I may have become lactose intolerant. Just because, essentially I snacked on 2 bits of cheese from the fridge just as I was cooking yesterday, and immediately, my stomach started feeling dreadful, and it felt dreadful for most of the evening. And I've had that of every so often I treat myself, if I'm nipping into a petrol station or something, I'll get one of those little kind of chocolate milkshake type things, which are delicious. But then I immediately regret it like an hour later when my stomach tries to kill me. So I think I'm becoming lactose intolerant because really I don't have that much dairy. I have bits of cheese and things, but if I have milk, I tend to have soya milk because we're vegetarian. But my wife is more on the vegan side than I am, so we have soya milk anyway. So I very rarely have dairy milk, and I don't have cereal either. I haven't had cereal for years. For breakfast, I'll tend to have toast or something else. So I don't have that much dairy. So I think just over the years, especially since I've become vegetarian, I think my body's just started to go no to dairy, which sucks because I like cheese. Cheese is awesome. But oh well. What can you do? Okay. But on a weird segue related to cheese and food and stuff like that, today's stream is slightly different, this one. It's still a lunchtime chat, and I normally kind of talk tabletop RPG stuff during streams anyway. But this one is a bit different in that it is the first half of it at least, we're going to do a bit of a review of a TTRPG product. Now, what we are looking at, and let's try and get this right, is, let's get the French right on this one, Chef de Partie. Now, I will say at the outset of this one, I was offered the chance to review this, essentially. So the project lead on this, and I will do all the credits in just a second, the project lead on this is someone I know named Taylor Navarro, who is an awesome creator. And she reached out to say, we're releasing this, does anyone want to review it? So I got a promotional copy of this one. That makes it sound really glamorous. I got a promotional copy of this one. I was asked if I could review it. That is it. There are no further strings attached to that. I'm not being paid to do this, nor was I asked to, spin a review of any kind. So essentially, made this thing. Great if people want to review it. If you want to review it, I'll send you a free copy. So that's what we're doing. So just being open and transparent on this one, that I was given this promotional copy of this one. So let's talk a little bit about this. Well, let's start off with the credits. So I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name on this one. Let's read through the credits on this one. So this is project led by Taylor Navarro. Additional game design by Austin Taylor, Basil Wright, Danny Quatch, DT Honey Saint, Erin Roberts, Purna M, editing by Marielle Coe, and graphic design by Nala J. Wu. So a lot of people involved in this, which is cool. It's really nice when people collaborate on tabletop RPG products, especially kind of in this day and age of how we use social media and the like. The fact that to the best of my knowledge, this was a lot of the, if not all of this was done remotely. It's not like it was a group of friends who already knew each other in real life who then created this. Now, I could be completely wrong on this, but I think it is a case of, Taylor reached out to people who may want to be involved. And this was done collaboratively. So it's great to have a load of different people involved in this. So what is it exactly? So it is a one-page add-on for essentially any role-playing game. So it's not a game in and of itself. It is a one-page cooking mini-game that you can add into your role-playing games. There are examples in there, and I'll talk a bit about these later on, specifically related to 5th edition, so Dungeons and Dragons and similar stuff. Fate Core, Lasers and Feelings, and Blades in the Dark, which I'm aware of but have never played. I will say that it just because of time and child and stuff like that, I need to play more indie and other RPG systems. So I'm aware of all of them, but I must say I've never played any of them other than 5th edition. But I've heard a lot of good things about Lasers and Feelings, Blades in the Dark in particular. And I've heard people talk about Fate Core, so all good options, clearly. So what does it give you on its one page? Well, essentially about a third of the page, and I'm not going to throw this up on screen because it's one page. It's the, why are you describing this thing? Why can't you just throw it up on screen? Twitch is a visual medium, why aren't you doing this? And essentially it's because it's a one-page RPG thing. If I chuck the whole thing on the screen, it's just a little bit ridiculous, because if you wanted to, you could clip it if you wanted to. Now, not that I think any of the people who follow me would do that, but it's not a great way of doing a review to go, look, here's the entirety of the product put on screen. And I could have blurred it and stuff like that, but it seemed more trouble than it was worth. So about a third of the page is the basic rules, and the rest of it is kind of examples that continue to run with this kind of foodie theme. The basic rules, really, really simple. Essentially, so this is a mini game kind of add-on to your game. So imagine, set the theme here. So you're playing a game of D&D, everyone's settled down to camp, and everyone's starting to relax, get into the banter and the chat and all of that. And the party are out in the wilds and they decide to cook something. And it is a collaborative cooking process where the different characters are involved in different stages of the cooking. At its bare bones, it is collaborative dice rolling, so everyone rolls some dice and you take the 3 highest. And the overall result of the various stages of cooking, and there are multiple phases of cooking, is essentially a pass, a fail, or excel. Now, what this means in specifics is a fail is food poisoning. So you have the possibility of your characters, not players, getting food poisoning, and excelling is what's called a heavenly dish. You know, when you absolutely nail the thing and it is the best frickin' thing you've ever eaten. There are game-based consequences for these, which are exemplified in the sample dishes that I'll talk about in a second. So essentially, if you get food poisoning, you will get negatives. If you get the heavenly dish, you will get buffs if you eat it. That is it from the mechanics point of view, though it is further gone into in the exemplification. But I think what's more important in this one is it encourages you in the description of these to narrate the cooking process and collaborate in a role-playing manner about that and what that would result in. So I think there's a lot of potential fun here, especially if you are more of a narrative role-player, in exploring the fun that will happen with characters collaborating on cooking and then the results of it. You know, if you get a heavenly dish, it's... You know, that's fun, everyone enjoying their meal and having a wonderful time, but I think the hilarity that could ensue of collaborative food poisoning, something I suspect that is going to take over whatever happens in that session of we all have great plans, we're going to storm the castle in the morning, but we can't because of last night's food poisoning. I think the narrative potential of this is fantastic. So it's not just a buff or a penalty. I think the real fun of what could come from this is in the narrative role-playing elements that come attached to this. So I am definitely intrigued to play it. Certainly next time I am running a long form, whether it's a campaign or a mini campaign, that this would slot into. I think I have an awful lot of fun with this. And it's actually an idea I've been batting around for a while. It's somewhere in the back of my head. I think I've always thought it'd be fun to do a D&D or similar game with a kind of Lost meets Saving Private Ryan kind of vibe. I like the idea of having a party who maybe know each other, maybe don't, and they are the survivors of something. And they are, and you get those kind of game survival elements in there. So since you're away from civilization, you've got, I'm not quite tracking water because that doesn't really appeal to me, but I think there could be some fun about kind of boiling it down to the simplistic stuff. You don't have access to all this stuff. So the notion of, we finally managed to get some stuff. We found a cache of food, or we stumble across, the old abandoned tavern that was on this remnants of this mysterious island. So I think a whole narrative piece would be around everyone settling down and cooking and eating and having that moment of respite. So I would certainly use this for that sort of thing. But I think using these mechanics and threading them into a long form RPG, I think could be very, very fun. So I like it. I mean, I will say from the get-go that I like it. I really do. And it's not a huge thing that's going to over-empower your game, but I think it is a nice way of adding some mechanics and some role-playing potential into something that could potentially be glossed over very quickly in an RPG. So I will take my teacher hat now, because I've never done a formal review like this before. So I'm going to take my teacher hat here and approach it from what went well and even better if, which will be very familiar to any teachers or ex-teachers out there. I'm just taking a swig of my drink and let's talk through these. So, what went well? I mean, I love the cozy vibe of this. There's something very, very nice about the fact that, to quote Christopher Lee, it's such a horrible word to say nice. But no, there is something just cozy and lovely about all of this. It is designed, it's a game designed about the cooking and food process. And I like and I've not really talked about the examples on here. In terms of, essentially you've got 6 different example dishes on here that talk about the ingredients. What gesture did I do? What gesture did I do there? It wasn't a double thumbs up. I forget which one does that. I did something and I got balloons. Damn it. So it's got example foods, so I had to make brioche cinnamon rolls and button braised pork, granny's gumbo, mac and cheese, a plate full of luck, and podi masala dosa. And all of them have ingredients and the country of origin and the like. One of the ingredients is the system it's designed for. It gives a description of the food. Hello, Photostyle. How are we doing? We are reviewing Chef de Partie, which I've very kindly been provided with a review copy of, which is essentially a one-page cooking-related add-on for any RPG system, but specifically has some rules for 5th edition, Fate Core, Lasers and Feelings, and Blades in the Dark. And so for each of those example ones, it's got what the meal is, and it's got some specific mechanics for that game of how the food poisoning would work if you end up with the food poisoning, and what the results could be if you have the heavenly meal. So I like the fact you've got there's a nice core mechanic there that is nice and straightforward, but it is exemplified in these further dishes. And I like the fact that both the mechanical and narrative aspects are stressed here. And that will appeal to different sorts of players, you know, wherever you are in that Venn diagram of tabletop RPG player or storyteller. If you're just interested in the mechanics of this, well, you know, it gives you some suggestions essentially of ways you could explore beyond, oh, it's the poison effect. You know, there's. I'll read one example on this one. And it is from a game I don't play, which is Blades in the Dark. So, you know, so the food poisoning here is the middle is undercooked. You're in a worse position, leaving you wondering if the nature of your distress is demonic or gastric. Take 2 stress. So I like the fun of that. You know, you've got a mechanic in there as well, but I think the more important thing is the fun of the narrative with this one. And I go back to that previous example. I think there is no way you're not going to have a fun session if the characters, or one or more of the characters, end up with food poisoning. You know, please don't get too grotty with this one, but I think in terms of a best laid plans going wrong, I think the characters getting food poisoning just has such hilarious potential. So I like that, and I like the fact that there's, you know, prods and hints in the direction of the mechanical and the narrative aspects of this. So it's not one and forgetting around the other. I'm genuinely impressed by how much there is on one page. You know, when I realised it was one page, I thought, oh, I was kind of expecting something more than this. But there's a heck of a lot on a page, and I've written one-page RPGs before, and one-page supplements for RPGs. It is not easy getting a load of information on the page without it feeling too cluttered. And I think the team have done a really, really good job with that in making sure that it is easy to read. It doesn't feel like a wall of text. You've got your copyright stuff in there that is, you know, done well. And I think, you know, hats off to Nala J. Wu, who did the graphic design. The color balance is absolutely right on this one. It's not too much. It keeps your attention. It's not too bland. It's just got that graphic that you can see here. That's kind of the background on it, or certainly a slightly kind of skeletal version of it. It's just kind of slightly out of focus at the back and transparent, and it just gives it aesthetically a nice please of it than it could have been. You know, you can make a lot of it. I've seen a lot of bad one-page RPG supplements. They either go, I've got to put a load of text on here, and therefore there's no space for aesthetics, or they go aesthetic heavy and there's no place for writing. And I think this strikes that balance really nicely, and it feels like a menu. I think that's something that I probably should have stressed at the start of this one. It feels like a menu. You know, it is 3 columns, so I think I should be able to fold this up, which makes me a little shame there's nothing on the back. I should be able to print this out, fold it up, and here is a menu of this add-on. And I think that is a win. I think that's really, really well designed. So my hat is off to the team here and what you've created in this one. So I am very, very impressed with this. Let's go even better if then. And this is not me being critical on this one. This is me thinking about, you know, ways it could be improved. I don't have a huge amount to say on this one, I'll be honest. And again, I was given a copy of this, but with no expectation of what review I might give. I'm not giving money for this one. So I've got a free hand here. Essentially, I'm kind of curious about the choice to make it one page. As I said, there's the basic rules, which is a third of it. You've got 6 example recipes, 2 for 5th edition, 1 for Fate Core, 1 for Lasers and Feelings, and 2 for Blades in the Dark. Each one's got a description, and again, I like the fact that you've got the rule set listed as an ingredient. But unless I've missed something here, and it could well be, I'm not going to lie, I am perpetually tired right now, so I could have missed a trick on this one. I don't see why these recipes are necessarily just for that system. You've got, the brioche cinnamon rolls happens to be a 5th edition one. But why? Is it just space on the page? And that is a perfectly reasonable answer for that one. But, I looked at this and I thought, it's a shame that it's not. Here's the brioche cinnamon rolls. Here's the description of what it's like, if you've never had a brioche cinnamon roll. And then you go food poisoning, and then you can have 4 different versions of it. This is what the consequences of food poisoning are under the 4 different systems or more. This is what the heavenly meal options would be for a variety of different systems. It could be that it's just exemplification. These are the sorts of things you can do, and feel free to spin off and design your own. Whether it's the storyteller designing them or the players coming up with something. I think there's a chance for collaborative rule writing on that one. That the players, I want to cook this, and I hope that a really good one would give me this, and then the DM can step in and go, yeah, but if you get food poisoning, it's going to be that. I think you could have some fun with that, but the more I look at it, I go, I wish it was more than 1 page. At the very least 2 pages. But I think you could have a lot of fun with expanding this further. With different types of food, or bring in, drinks as well as a similar sort of thing. If you bring in drinks, there's a potential you move away from the slightly cozier aspect. If it becomes alcoholic drinks, and nothing against alcoholic drinks, but I think you can move away from the cozy aspect. But, you can do it well. You can do it well with, hot chocolates and stuff like that. Eggnog and the like. But I just feel there's I want more of this. I want more of this. And that is not a failing of this. If the pitch was right, we're going to do a 1-page thing that looks like a menu, and we're going to include the rules and some exemplification, and that's going to be it. Then they have fantastically succeeded, but I want more. To use a cooking analogy here, this meal is delicious. I want seconds, or I want another course. Because this is really, really good. This is really good, and I want more of it. I really do. The thing I'm not going to say is an even better, and I'm not going to claim is a negative or constructive criticism of this, is the price. And I'm going to talk about price in just a second on this one, but I think there can be, I could expect there could be some people who could look at this and say, this is too expensive for what it is. And I will come back to that in just a second. But I'm categorically not saying that this is too expensive for what it is. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So what have we got here? We have got a really, really high quality 1-page add-on that adds a cooking mini game and potential for narrative fun to your RPG games. I really, really like this. They've done an absolutely freaking stellar job with this. And I'm excited to see what this team do next. I mean, I played one game that Taylor Navarro has made before. I play tested a game she wrote about taking. It was a journaling game for essentially talking about the idea of trying to find a photo of yourself and your child looking through a photo album, and it is so cozy. But I'm curious what this team can come up with. I will try and look into all the people doing it to see what else they have done. But if they all decide to collaborate again, I expect they will make something pretty damn awesome. So I'd recommend picking it up. I will chuck a link in the chat here. It is an affiliate link, so if you do follow it and click on it and buy it, I will get a tiny cut of that at no extra expense to yourselves. But I've chucked that link in the chat if you'd like to check it out. But that's Chef de Partie, and I love it. It's very, very cool, and I'm looking forward to including it in role-playing games that I play in the future. So very, very cool. Right, let's take the banner down and move on to the second topic, which is kind of a segue in this talk about price. So, well, actually, let's leave it up for just a second because this is related specifically to that. So let's talk about price. So this costs, and if you follow this link, you will know this because you just clicked on it. This costs $4.95 for one page. Now, that is not the norm. I will say that from the get-go. That is not the norm for a one-page RPG or RPG add-on. But that does not mean it is wrong. And that's the thing I'm going to be talking about kind of in the rest of this stream here, that I think as an indie RPG creator myself, I think we get used to charging what other people are charging, and I think that's become pretty bad in the way we're doing it. You know, undercutting and undercutting and undercutting, and especially on a big collaborative team project like this, you know, that's just not feasible. The fact is, let me count it up: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 people involved in this, and if Taylor took herself out, if she wanted to do that, still 8 other people involved in this. You know, if you charge a pittance for this, yeah, and a lot of work has gone into this, they're just going to get screwed over. Now, the alternative is you pay everyone up front for this, but yeah, that's not always possible. If everyone has agreed to a share style model on this one, you know, that's absolutely fine, but you can't be screwing people over on this one because it doesn't take a lot to do the maths of this. You know, if you have a notion of how much your work, what is your hourly rate for stuff, you can look at expected sales, what cut you're going to get of something once, you know, Drive-Thru RPG have taken off their cut, how much do I have to sell to get up to the amount of time I put into this just to break even. And it's astronomical. It really, really is. And Taylor posted about this on Twitter, and I'll chuck the link in the chat there. Essentially, she's done the maths of this one, as I would hope she would. And I agree with absolutely everything she's saying on this one. This has been calculated to ensure that everyone gets fairly paid for the time and effort they put in to make sure that the price the customer is being charged reflects the effort that went into it. So you get value for your time doing it. So I don't disagree with it at all. It is not the norm, but that does not mean that it is wrong. I think it means that kind of everything else is wrong. I think my brain has gone immediately to Principal Skinner and that meme about, you know, I can't remember the phrasing on this one, but no, it's everyone else that's wrong. I think that's genuinely the case of this one. I think it does take people pointing out that actually we are charging way too little for what we are producing. We don't value our time and we undercut ourselves on this one. So let's talk about that one a little bit more. You know, as a rule, I would say that indie RPG writers underprice stuff. I really think we do. I mean, if I'm figuring out how much I'm going to charge for something, I essentially have a spreadsheet, which is everything I've released, the page count, and a couple of other factors on there. I haven't made it too complex. Essentially, I've broken it down to: is this a D&D product? Is this an indie product? I'm going to include more on it, essentially how much artwork I've put into this, because that is a factor. You know, 5 pages of black and white is very different to 5 pages colour, is very different to 5 pages colour with art on every page. So let's not pretend it's not. But I use that to generate essentially what is the cost per page, and then I use that as a mechanism. Essentially, my spreadsheet does this. So if I divide up and find out the average price for a little but fierce page is, I don't know, I'm going to choose a number here. I think it's around 25 cents. Let's say the average price I'm charging per page is 25 cents. I'll then say, right, this new product is 20 pages, so that's 20 times 25 cents, which is $5, and then I will round it down more or less. So if I say it's $5 is the calculation, I'll charge $4.95 for that, because it's the whole, you know, charging $3.99 thing, you know, it makes it seem less than £4. So that's kind of how I do pricing of stuff, but I price myself based on myself. That does assume that I didn't cock it up to begin with, which is a fairly large assumption, I'm not going to lie, but I have, you know, kind of looked at what other people are doing. in this regard. So I try and keep myself consistent with myself. But what I haven't done really is been increasing my prices with inflation. I do it each year for my prices for commissions. So the amount I'm charging per word if you commission me to do tabletop RPG writing, I do increase that each year, in line with what others are doing and making sure I'm valuing my time correctly. But what I don't do, because I'm an idiot, is increase the prices of the products I've already got out there. And I really, really should. I did a quick look before this stream, just at UK inflation. Now, the first thing I released, I think, and I need to double check this, but I think I released Monsters Unleashed, the first volume of it, on DM Skill back in 2017, so 2017. I think it may have been 2018, but I think it was 2017. So the UK's inflation from 2017 to the end of 2023 was 27.9%, which is freaking terrifying. But that's a lot. So that means, more or less, if I was charging $5 for something back in 2017, I should at the very least be charging $6 now. And that's just looking at, kind of raw inflation on that one. I imagine you could dig an awful lot deeper into that one, and prices have gone up a lot more in certain areas. And obviously, RPGs are probably a luxury item, so inflation's probably gone up way more for some of that stuff. I've not even compared, what do Wizards charge for the Player's Handbook now compared to what they charged back in 2017. Has it increased? It probably has. So I probably should be increasing my prices. Maybe I should be saying, well, from the 1st of April, I'm increasing my prices a little bit to make sure I'm not screwing myself over in this one. Similarly for Ko-Fi, I've just switched entirely to Ko-Fi, but I had Patreon running for much longer than that, and I'm now kind of phasing that out. But I originally charged may have been $1. I turned it to £1, but let's go with £1. Let's be slightly more optimistic. I started it as £1, essentially a pay anything you like tier, rather than making it complicated with lots of different tiers. I eventually changed that to £2 a month because essentially so much was lost in fees on a £1 or $1 tier. It wasn't just the same percentage each time. There was a big overhead that basically smashed down any money you got. If you were charging £1, you saw about 20p of that, whereas it was proportionally more if you charged £2. And now I've kind of rebooted all of my Ko-Fi stuff with my new model of that one. I'm now charging £3. It's not a huge amount still. It's still like pay anything you want, and maybe I could have gone to it's £3 for this, and £5 for that, and £10 for that. I just feel that I potentially overcommit and underdeliver if I do that. But what does £3 get me? Not a heck of a lot, to be honest. I'm not sure about £2.50 of that. It doesn't cover a lot at all. So I think we need to be strict on ourselves. Those of us who create stuff. If I'm charging £3 a month for that, that is less than the bare minimum tier on Twitch. If you sign up as a Twitch subscriber here, and you're most welcome to do that, please do. I think that's $3.99. So I'm undercutting myself there, I really am. I guess the question is, why do we underprice stuff? And I think it's mostly fear on that one, because it's indie stuff. Most of us are not big name brands. There are some people who have become more successful in this regard and become bigger name brands. But even then, if you take the most successful, what would you say the most successful people on these lines? Paizo started off more indie, and obviously is bigger now, but they're still not as big as Wizards. I can try and rattle off some names, the Green Ronin and stuff like that, but most of us are indie, very indie. We are a team of one or a team of a handful of people. We're not those big brand names, and I think it's a difficult one to crack, this one, but I think there is something innately fearful in us, that kind of imposter syndrome thing that makes us think that our tabletop RPGs, the things we make, have to be impulse buys. They have to be like getting a chocolate bar at the tills. You know, you bought the things you went to go and get, the things you need, and then you got to the tills and thought, ooh, I'll have one of those. I haven't had a whisper in a while. Let's have a whisper. Let's have a small milkshake that's going to give you stomachache because you're potentially lactose intolerant. You know, I think that's the way we treat tabletop RPG products, in that you go, I don't need this. And it's not the critical thing, you know. Maybe I'm already in a Vampire the Masquerade game or a Call of Cthulhu game, you know. I could dabble in this new indie RPG thing, but it's a little treat to myself. It's a tiny little impulse buy. And if you make those impulse buys too expensive, people won't buy them. You know, if it's £1, if it's £2, if it's £3, if it's less than a fiver, people will go, what's that? It's £4. What's £3? You know, I used to do that with DVDs back when DVDs were a thing. You know, I'll just pick that up. You know, it's cheap in Blockbuster. I'll pick that up. You know, but if it's crap, it doesn't matter. I think that's the way we think about indie RPGs, is that, you know, I'll dabble in it. It'll be an impulse buy, and therefore there's this fear that if I charge more than that, people aren't going to do it. They go, that's too much. It's too much. And I've seen that to a degree. I mean, I did a whole thing about this when I released Little But Fierce. I mean, let me check the page count on Little But Fierce, because I do always forget how big it is. Little But Fierce, the Starter Edition, is 144 pages. Now, admittedly, there's only one piece of art that's on the front cover, and it is a Starter Edition. But it is a full game. It is a full game. And I started charging for that. I think I charged about, best part of $20. I think it was like $19.95 is what I started. And it did okay at that price. It did do okay at that price. Mostly because I managed to get some good boosts at the start of it when I first released that. Like Matt Mercer retweeted it, and Gail Simone retweeted it, you know, which really, really helped. I think if I hadn't have got an initial signal boost on that one, which was fluke, I do not know these wonderful people. I will not claim, it's not a nepotism thing. I think if I hadn't got that boost, this chance could have died. It could have gone, nah, no one's going to pay that. Or a couple of people might, but you know, there's no momentum on that one. And what I have done with the Starter Edition is, as I've released more expansions, I've lowered the price of the Starter Edition. So it dropped down to about $14.95 and then $12.95. And I think it's on that now. I think it's still on $12.95 right now. I don't think I've dropped it down to $9.95 yet. Says he who should know the prices of his own frickin' products. Let's just check. What the heck am I charging for it? And it's $12.95 still. Because I want to make it, that Starter Edition, just get lower and lower in price. Eventually to be free, because there'll be enough add-on content that, you know, people can enjoy it and can dabble in it without feeling they're putting themselves out. But a lot of the sales I get for Little But Fierce are not on individual add-ons. They're not on the core book. It's people just buying the whole bundle. Because, I'll just grab all of it. You know, for that price, I might as well grab everything. So I think we are pretty harsh on ourselves. And it's that kind of monopoly-ish thing that, you know, unless everyone decides, oh, we're all going to up our prices, I don't think people are going to do it. Or it'll take someone to really wave that banner and go, look, come on, what the heck are we doing? No. And in fact, I wish, the one way you could do this, and maybe I should just contact them and say, if Drive-Thru RPG and Itch both had a thing at the start of the tax year that said, do you want to increase your prices with inflation? Or do you want to increase your prices by a percentage? And this was flagged up, you know, if you had a kind of, right, you know, if you choose yes, then when you view that page, you view Little But Fierce's page, and it said it's $12.95 until the end of March, at which time it'll go up to this price. So you're signposting it to people, and then at the start of April, it then says, has now increased because of inflation. You know, signpost it. Take it away, take the guilt away from the creator. So the creator doesn't look like an arsehole going, look, I'm a money-grabbing bastard. You know, I'm now charging more for the stuff that's been around for a couple of years now. I'm just getting greedy. It's not that. It's got to be worth it. You know, and it is slightly different with digital products in that you're not putting in more stuff. It's not like I'm having to the cost of paper hasn't gone up. Yeah, but still, you need to get money from stuff. If it's really hard to get 10 sales, you want to get some reasonable money from your hard-earned 10 sales, because even if some of this does sell itself, you still need to do self-promotion, a heck of a lot of self-promotion. I mean, I've got so much stuff on DM's Guild that just doesn't sell anymore because I don't promote it. I promote Little But Fair stuff, and there's only so much of me to do that promotion, and I'm not going to pay for advertising for it. So it'd be nice if it was taken out of our hands a little bit, and the big people like Drive-Thru-RPG and Itch had that option, flagged it up to the seller and the buyer, and it took that guilt away from the indie creator who is working their frickin' arse off and potentially not getting a huge amount of money from it. That would be nice. That would be nice, especially considering most salaried people, unless you're really up there, not to get too political on this one, a lot of people, especially public sector people, are getting shafted by inflation. Inflation will increase prices by 6%, and they might get a 1% pay rise. That's a real-time pay cut. So this is a real thing, and increasingly it's more of a luxury stuff, and I'm very aware of that from my own perspective. I mean, I'm making stuff that's marketed to parents. As a parent, we are not well-off people, so it is more of a luxury, which is a shame to say that, because I'm making something to sell to parents as cheaply as I can, so you can have fun playing with your kids. That shouldn't be a luxury. It shouldn't be. But equally, I shouldn't be, killing myself to sell stuff for free. So it's a fine line to walk, and it would be so nice if more people were able to take a stand, or if someone could help support, like a Drive-Thru, Itch, so here's the option, here's the default option. Your prices will increase unless you opt out. That would be nice, and then it's flagged up. I think that'd be a better way to do it, I think. Okay. I have rambled long enough. Thank you so much for popping in. I've seen a few people popping in and out of all of this. Hopefully this has been relatively interesting. Do check out Chef de Partie. I will chuck that affiliate link back in the chat again. It is an affiliate link, so if you buy it, I get a small cut, but it doesn't cost you anything more. It doesn't take anything away from them either. It literally comes out of Drive-Thru's admin fees. So if you want to grab it, please do. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing with it. What's going on with me? If you're here, you probably know where to find me. I'm DC Bradshaw RPG on Twitter. I am at dcbradshaw.com on Blue Sky, which is now open to everyone, so please follow me. That would be wonderful. It'd be nice to have some of that Twitter following come across the Blue Sky. That would be fantastic. We're in week 2 of the new version of my Ko-Fi, so Patreon is being phased out. Fudstar, you said you're picking up. That's fantastic. That's really, really great to hear. So second week of new version of Ko-Fi, so I'm just doing regular updates on this one. I'm doing weekly check-ins with the links to all my stuff and what's going on. I'm trying to post multiple times a week if I can. I'm trying to be more open and transparent with people. It is £3 a month. If you can spare that, that would be just awesome. Currently, everything from that goes towards paying off the horrible unexpected vet bill from a couple of weeks ago. But it's just knowing the fact I've got some monthly support on this one. It means I can dedicate more of my not terribly existent free time into doing this while also doing my day job. So that would be brilliant. If you can spare £3, it would be amazing if you could support me. If you can't spare £3, that is totally fine. Again, I'm talking as a parent here who is married to a teacher. I totally understand when money's tight. It's totally cool. But if you can support me, that'd be brilliant. Next stream, unless something goes wrong, will be Wednesday. I haven't decided what board game we'll be playing while chatting, but I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully either Thursday, Friday or Saturday will be part 2 of 3 in playing Max Payne 2. The Ball of Max Payne. I wish you a very enjoyable Monday. Take care. Let's see if there's anyone about for the raiding. I don't think there is. Let's raid Tig Madison. Assuming her settings let me. Let's see if it's going to work. Raid in 10 seconds. Thank you very much all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll speak soon, okay? All right. Bye.